How can the Wizards not be confident when they look as good as that? Here they were, headed to the locker room earlier on. And the game arrival, sponsored by Express. Dress like a pro. That's the United States Supreme Court building here in our nation's capital. We're coming to you today from Washington, D.C. Well, we can finally say it. The NBA regular season is about to get underway. And here at 2K Sports, we couldn't be happier. Kevin Harlan with you, joined by Doris Burke, Craig Anthony, and David Aldridge reporting courtside. And a look now at the Celtics' upcoming schedule. On Sunday, they'll head home to take on the Charlotte Hornets. Then on Friday, they'll begin a long road trip starting in Orlando and going up against the Magic.
And looking at the Cavs matchup, it's always interesting for top teams to see how they compare to the best in the East. This will be a chance to see just what this group is made of.
We are nearly ready for the tip-off, but first, let's hear from our very own David Aldridge. DA, it's all yours.
Guys, Celtics coach Brad Stevens is known for his play calling. Ron James said he has so many different wrinkles. You've got to keep your head on a swivel. He'll run something you've never seen before. But Stevens said, honest to God, I've stolen everything we've ever done from somebody else. Kevin?
I love his honesty. All right, thank you, DA. Doris, there is nothing like opening night in the NBA. Every fan base just teeming with optimism for the upcoming season.
I think all of us are just so thrilled to have NBA basketball back. There's no losses in the losing column. Everybody's happy. Let's tip it off and go.
And guys have that little step, and these first weeks of the season are always exciting.
Oh, no doubt. Everybody's bursting with enthusiasm. Players are fresh.
And now the opening lineup for Boston. Hayward at small forward with Tatum at the 4. Walker and Brown, they're manning the backcourt. And it's Cantor in at the 5 spot. And for Washington, Wall runs the point with Beal at the 2. Davis Bertans out there with Thomas Bryant. And it's Brown in at the small forward. Shots good by Walker.
Well, that's the IQ of Gordon Hayward on display. He understands what the defense is trying to take away and finds the open man.
From 15 feet away, Wall's shot is off. Tatum kicks to Walker. He dishes it to Brown. Hayward passes to Brown. And a lot of contact on that one, so he'll shoot 2 here. And for Jaylen Brown, part of the challenge last season, especially with the return of Gordon Hayward, was meeting the high expectations, Greg, in a reduced role.
Competition for minutes, and then early on, he struggled. We all see the potential, but it's really about seizing the moment every time you're on the court.
That one is off.
Boy, when you think back to last season for the Wizards, finishing just 32-50 overall, only the second time in 6 years that they've missed the playoffs. I think going into the year, many thought they'd be a postseason factor.
And he's good on the second. And for the Wizards, Doris, ended up middle of the road after the John Wall injury last season.
And you have to wonder, Kevin, how much longer do they stick with this current core? John Wall and Bradley Beal obviously are very good, but they have not translated to tremendous postseason success. And now with the questions raised by Wall's injury last season, what do they do?
Now here's Brown. Bradley Beal unable to get his shot to go. 6 on the shot clock. Fader on the way. Bryant with the rebound.
Listen, offensively, they're very comfortable with him taking that shot. It's a good look under very little pressure. He just can't convert.
Now here's Brown. And Bryant the bucket on the assist by Brown.
Just setting the tone with an aggressive move to the rack. And where's the help defensively?
To me, Greg, that's a complete lack of communication on that side of the ball. These guys need to be talking to each other.
Now here's Walker. From deep. One quarter in the books, and it's been a close one so far. It's the Celtics up 2. We'll be back shortly, live from Washington. One of the most dangerous scorers in the game, Bradley Beal spoke about the trust Coach Scott Brooks has in him and his teammates.
I think the biggest thing is he's still young, so he tries to think he's still hip. He keeps up with us a little bit, but he grants us a lot of freedom. He allows us freedom on both ends of the floor to be leaders.
Beal trying to grow as a leader and a star. Has to love that.
Yeah, and Brooks known for developing good relationships with his players. He pushes them, but he gives them a lot of praise as well.
And getting going again here in the second quarter. Fairly close game so far. When you consider how the Celtics are doing, guys, what jumps out to you stats-wise?
I like the confidence that they've shown here early on.
They're working together so well, and there's a level of certainty that comes from trusting one another.
Beal and Miles out on the perimeter. Wagner out there with Hachimura. And it's Thomas in at the 1 spot. That's the group starting the second quarter for the Wizards.
And typically he has the touch to finish when he's in tight, but not sure on that possession. Very rare for players to be elite defenders from the moment they set foot in the NBA, but that was the case for Marcus Smart. A tremendous physicality to go with a pit bull disposition has made him downright scary at times at that end of the floor.
Beal, that's for 2. That doesn't go either for Beal.
Boy, he'll usually knock it down if he's left that wide open. Just comes up empty.
Here's Ogilvy, defended by Miles. Ogilvy, that's good.
And it seemed like they couldn't get anything to fall in that opening quarter, but you can just feel the momentum starting to shift.
Beal's shot is good.
Well, Bradley Beal, we know this, has been an elite three-point shooter from the time he stepped between the lines in the NBA. This guy is ready to roll.
Now here's Walker. He has 5. 3 seconds separate the shot clock and game clock. Williams finds Walker. Rebound, Washington. Outside, Beal. Thomas outside. And that one released in time, but no good. And that's it for the first half of action. What's been a very close game here. Celtics lead by 1. And a chance now to send it over to David Aldridge, standing by courtside. David.
Thanks, Kevin. Here with Brad Stevens. Coach, what did you think of your team's energy in the first half?
I think the energy's fine. I thought we did look a little gassed at the end of that first stint for some of our starters, but I thought for the most part it was good.
Thanks very much, Coach. Back to you, Kevin.
Thanks for the great interview, David. And we'll be back for the third quarter of basketball following halftime.
The 2K Sports Halftime Show.
Ernie Johnson here with Shaq and Kenny, and a favorite time of the year as we're halfway through one of the first games of this fresh NBA season. Boston found themselves in a close game in the first. At the end of the period, they held a 2-point lead. They were outscored by just a bit in the second quarter as they go into the break now holding just a 1-point advantage. Kenny, what's your take on Boston so far?
I was surprised on how comfortable they seemed here on the road. The hostile crowd, that didn't bother them at all. And I want to see if they can keep that up in the second half.
Shaq, what was your takeaway on Washington?
Their shooting rhythm was off, under 40%. Some of that was shot selection. Some of it was the defense stepping up. My guess is we'll see some significant changes as things get going in the second half. Increasing off-the-ball activity, making the extra pass, and trying to get better looks.
And that's going to do it for our halftime show, sadly. Third quarter about to start. See you again after the final.
Horn. Oh, buzzer.
And as we get into this third quarter, as we've seen so far, neither team able to create much separation on the scoreboard yet. 2018 rookie class has been something to watch, Doris. Talent at the top, but also some terrific mid-round picks.
No question. Landry Shamet is a guy who I think can be a clutch, big-time scorer who does not seem bowed by any moment, doesn't seem to be affected by pressure. Mitchell Robinson had one of the great shot-blocking seasons in New York Knicks history. I know the team didn't have success, but as a second-round guy, Mitchell Robinson could have an awfully long career.
Third quarter action getting rolling right now, brought to you by Gatorade, all fueled up and ready to go. Here's who's on the floor. On the court right now for the Celtics. Brown and Hayward, they're the wing. Tatum and Cantor together down low. And it's Walker in at the point. Now Beal. Following the miss by Kemba Walker from deep. For the lead. And Beal lays it in. Beal's got the lead up to 1 now for the Wizards.
Well, Scott Brooks now in his 4th year as coach of the Wizards, and it's been a bit of a mixed bag for him so far in his tenure in the D.C. area. And think about it, guys, under the gun now because the GM who hired him was now let go.
And Doris, for Brooks, he'll be doing what he can to get this team back in the playoff hunt.
And I think, Kevin, the area they must address is the defensive end of the floor. Listen, they have thrived offensively under Scotty Brooks. But this team, if you're going to get into the playoffs and thrive, you've got to be a quality defensive unit.
Smith checked in for the Wizards. Daniel Tice is checked in for the Celtics. Kemba Walker hits them both. Well, one of the bigger names in free agency this past summer was Kemba Walker. A lot of teams, Greg, looking at him.
And rightfully so, Kevin. With Kemba, a point guard who is in his prime, he's an impact player who can hit big shots and is one of the more underrated stars in our league.
Now, here is Smith. It's rebounded by Tice.
Boy, he really wanted that shot, trying to make the defense pay for leaving him that wide open.
Moves on moves. That's Jason Tatum.
I mean, this guy's a natural isolation scorer. Jab steps, crossovers, turnarounds, fadeaways. He's got an awful lot in his bag.
Take a break. Take a break. 2 shots.
And that one falls for Tatum. Well, guys, you talk about players coming in and with a huge impact. Jason Tatum showed he was more than ready to be an NBA star.
Rare do you see a player as polished and as impactful as Tatum. Stepped right in to be one of the top players on a top team with Boston. Fits their system perfectly, and really the sky is the limit for that young man.
And so Tatum nails them both.
Well, this guy has multiple ways to get to the free throw line, and boy, has his stroke been on the money.
Pass to Thomas, over Langford. Tried to bank it in, but he misses. Boston leading by 3.
A quick, good shot here, and they can go 2 for 1.
Well, you want to make sure you maximize that first shot in this 2-for-1 situation, though. Don't take a bad one just to accomplish it.
Shot and game clock separated by 5. Smart against Smith. The pass to Brown. Clock at 6. To halt the run. No good. Shot missing. And so it's Boston with a 6-point lead at the end of the quarter. They've been giving John Wall all sorts of problems. He still hasn't been able to solve their defense. We'll get right back to the action when we return. And a quick look now at the State Farm assist of the game.
And the definition of teamwork right there, guys. I mean, what great communication between them, and what a beautiful feed.
And, Greg, nothing better than chemistry, right? Working together to create a bucket.
Three tenths quarters behind us. One more to go. Thanks for being with us as we begin the 4th. And here's Tatum. He'll bring it up for Boston. Thomas and Beal teaming up in the backcourt. Brown out there with Hachimura. And it's Wagner in at the center, locking down the middle. That's the 5 on the floor for the Wizards. 11 feet away, and that one hits back iron. Wizards trail by 6. It's Beal on the wing. Back to Thomas. With the shot, and he hits the jump shot. Thomas got the fourth quarter going with the first basket of the period here for Washington. Outside, Smart. Tatum on the wing. Cantor trying to free himself up.
And that's a welcome sign for sure. Hachimura demonstrating a willingness to want to improve as a defender.
Now here's Brown. Marcus Smart missing that last shot. 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter. And here's Beal. Lets a floater go, and Cantor pulls it down. And now they decide to foul intentionally. Washington making some changes. Ryan is checked in for Mo Wagner. Davis Bertans comes in for Hachimura. And John Wall subbed in for Isaiah Thomas. And a change for the Celtics. Walker's checked in. Time called here. The Celtics decide to talk it over. They're leading by 4. There's 37 seconds left in the game. And now we get the chance to present our Jordan Player of the Game, Kemba Walker.
He's accounted for the bulk of their scoring, and that's really nothing new. No team likes to rely too heavily on one player, but when you've got a guy with this amount of talent, you've got to lean on him like they have.
And let's catch up with our sideline reporter, David Aldridge.
Hey, Kevin. Well, look, here's what Brad Stevens went over with his guys during the break. He told his guys, that team is not going to give it to us. We have to take it. That means staying aggressive and playing with no fear. Kevin, back to you.
Thanks, David.
Late in the game, up big, they continue to attack.
And as a result, they may be facing just a little bit less resistance right now. They are having their way.
Time called here. The Wizards decide to talk it over. They're trailing by 6. We've got 13 seconds left to play here in the fourth. Guys, your thoughts?
They need a quick basket here.
Well, preferably a 3, right? If there's a clean look, take it.
Bertans inside the line. It counts.
Timeout.
And now they trail by just 4. Time called here. The Celtics decide to talk it over. They're in front by 4. 11 seconds left in the fourth quarter. 11 seconds left in the fourth quarter. And now we've got the intentional foul.
That's right. No other option but to foul and hope for some misses.
Take a break. Take a break. 2 shots.
Good on the first, and that puts them up by 5.
And you always know what you're going to get from Walker from the line. He's been a solid, consistent free throw shooter his entire career.
So he goes 2 for 2 at the line, and it's a 6-point ball game.
You've got to show composure, and he comes through right when the team needs him most.
Time called here. The Wizards decide to talk it over. They're down by 6. There's 10 seconds left in the fourth. Guys, your thoughts?
They need a quick basket here.
Well, preferably a 3, right? If there's a clean look, take it.
The 3 from Bertans. And Boston with the rebound. And he commits the intentional foul.
Take a break. Take a break. 2 shots.
And he cannot get the first one to drop. Tough one to miss. And he ends up making the second, and that makes it a 7-point lead. And Wall kicks to Beal over Smart. No good on that one. So it's the Celtics picking up the win. A truly gutsy performance away from home.
You know, it really was. And, Kevin, when this one was hanging in the balance late, they showed just what a tough-minded group they can be.
And that about wraps it up. For Greg Anthony, Doris Burke, and David Aldridge, this is Kevin Harlan saying thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Have a great evening.